Hi everybody, I thought I would do a little bit of basic Excel training with you. Excel is one of the best programs that I use. It just has so many great uses for it, and once you get more comfortable with it, the more you'll find you'll be able to do with it. So I'm just going to bring up a basic Excel worksheet and just widen that, and just give you a bit of back understanding here. You'll see down the left-hand side, we've got some numbers. They're called rows. Okay, so that's row 1, row 2, row 3. And then along the top here, we've got columns. Column A, column B, column C, etc. So every little grid on Excel, you'll notice that it's all chopped up into little grids. They're called cells. So each cell has a unique address. So if I'm in this cell here, you can see the address of this cell is row 2, column B. Okay, so row 2 is highlighted and column B is highlighted. So that's good to understand that in each cell, whatever data goes into the cell stays in that, I guess, for example, here C2, any data that I decide to type in there, if I press enter, all of that data stays within cell C2. So you can see here that it's overlapping into cell D. That's because, into column D. That's because my cell is not wide enough. So if I move my mouse up here, I can just double click on the outside of the cell, and it will widen it to show all the data. So let's just say, for example, I have something in that cell, and then I go and type more in here and enter. You'll see that it won't, cover over what's in cell D. It's all hidden within cell C. So if I widen that again, you'll now see what I've typed in there. Okay, so just to recap, basically they're all columns across the top and the rows down the side, and each little square is called a cell, and each cell has a unique identifier, which is a combination of both the row and the column. So 4B in this example. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just show you how to insert data in Excel. Let's just say we're going to make a budget or add up some figures. So let's say, for example, we want the title to be date, and then maybe the bill name, and let's say the amount. Okay, so they're the titles. Now you see here this column's a bit wide, so I can again just bring it in there. But I want the bill one to be bigger so that I can see more of what I'm writing in there. All right, so let's just have a look at some dates. Let's, for example, put in the 10th of January. Excel is amazing in picking up what you're trying to do as well. So say if I go 10-01, it's going to automatically put in the 10th of January for me. The great thing is, if I then want to go down and do the 11th of January, and rather than type it in like that, what I can actually do is click on the cell, and if I point my cursor to the corner and that little cross comes up and I drag it down, look what it's doing for me. It's putting in all the dates to keep the same sequence going that I was doing. So it's a really good time saver. Again, you can do that with amounts. So say, for example, I've got 1, 2, 3 there, and I go over here. Oh, actually, it's not doing that because I haven't told her what to do. That's probably a little bit more involved. I might leave that for now. All right, so going back to what the next thing I want to show you is how to put in, I'll just actually make up some words here. So let's just put electricity, phone, and to get down to the next cell, you can either press your down arrow key or press enter. Phone, groceries, fuel. Okay, so now let's have a look at the amount column, and let's just put in some dollars, 50, 90. All right, so now we've got a few things here. We want to actually work out what the total is. Now, a range is a selection of cells that you want to add together. So let's look at these figures here, and let's see, we want to know the total of those. What you do is click in the first cell, hold your finger down on the mouse and drag down. And what that does is selects a range. So you can see there, anything within that blue amount, I want to work out the total for. There's two ways I can do that. I can look down the bottom here. If you look down the bottom of my screen, you'll see sum 276, or alternatively, if I want it to actually show in my document, I can go up here to what's called auto sum, click on that, and it will put the total in for me. So very, very clever. Okay, now let's say, for example, I want to put another column in beside the name of it to put what bank it's come from. Let's just say, for example. So I want to insert another column between B and C. So what I can do is click on the cell which has the letter C in it, which will highlight that whole column. Now what I can do is right click with my mouse, and you'll see here insert. So what that does, it inserts another column for me, which is great because then I don't have to type things twice. I can just insert a column. But what happens if I realize I actually don't need that anymore, I want to get rid of it? There's two ways I can do it. I can select the column, right click and delete it, or if I just do that once again, I'll insert it again. And if I did that and went, oh, we shouldn't have done that, what you can do up the very top of the screen is you've got a little back arrow, which is the undo button. So I can click on that, and the last thing I did will disappear. You can keep undoing as many times as you need to. So if I do that again, you can see it's going to go back and do the last things that I did. And then I go, oops, shouldn't have deleted that. I can then click on my forward arrow and go back to where I was. So it's pretty intuitive. All right, the next thing I want to do is, let's say, for example, I don't want to type groceries in 50 different places. I just want to copy that same cell. What I can do is put my mouse into the grocery cell. I can right click and I can copy, and then I can paste wherever I like. So let's say, for example, we're going to paste over here. We right click and then put paste. One over here, right click, paste. And then say, for example, I want groceries written 10 times in a row. I can drag my cursor to the corner where it becomes a little cross, and I can go like this, and it's going to repeat that for me. Okay, so the next thing, I've done auto sum for you. I might do just a couple more of those. I'm going to make a little spreadsheet. So I don't want the date anymore. I'm going to select column A. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to narrow B. And what I'm going to do is, as a title, I'm going to put in, let's say, week 1, week 2. And if you just type in a cell, it just writes straight over what you already had. Week 3, week 4. All right, so I'm going to delete that. So to delete, you just put your mouse into it and hit the delete button. Okay, so let's just say in week 1, the electricity is, I don't know, just going to put some random numbers in there. Week 3, week 4, whatever, I'm just making whatever up. Okay, so let's just say this is the month of January, and I would like to make it known that this is the month of January, but I don't have any space up here to put that. So I would love to have another row above my current data. So what I can do, if I want to insert a row, similar to when we inserted a comment before, we can click in the little row, the number 1, where we want to insert. So I'm going to click the number 1, and that will highlight the whole row. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to insert. And you'll see there, it's inserted a row for me. Let's say I want to do another one. I just click again and insert again. So what I'm going to do here is put my title and put January budget or January spending. Okay, and I want that to be a little bit highlighted. So if I highlight that cell, I can make it bold, or I can, if you click here on this border, you can put a border around it. So I can put a border around it, and let's just say I want to center the words inside the cell. So over here we've got it aligned to the left, aligned in the center, aligned in the right. So if I choose the center, it'll put it in the middle, or in the right, it'll move it across as so. So lots of options up there. And just to quickly go over these, we've got bold, italics, underline, similar to in a Word document. And I've got my font that I can change, make it, see how you scroll down here, it shows you what it's going to look like. And then I've got the size. So again, I can keep doing that to work out how I want it to look. Then we've got your color. Now you can either fill the whole cell with a color. So let's make it pink. And then how about the text color? I want to make, oh, that's not a very good combo, blue. Okay, so you can see here you can start making things look a little bit more acceptable. Now let's just say I want to highlight the title, the column titles or column headings. So rather than go one by one and bold like that, what I can actually do, I'm just going to undo those last two things. What I can actually do is select a range again. So if I put my cursor in that cell and then I go and hold the left down and drag, whatever range I want to select, I can do that and bold the whole lot. So that's pretty tricky. And now what I want to do is work out my total week 1 spending. So I want to highlight this range here to work out the total. So we click in the cell, hold the mouse down, drag, and you release it or drag it to the box where you want to put the total. So I want to leave a gap between the data and the total, so I'm going to do that and then click on auto sum. And then you can choose and drag the next column, auto sum, etc. There are shortcuts to do this, but we'll just go with the basics for now. Auto sum, auto sum. Okay, so looking good. Now, just to make the, I guess the spreadsheet a little easier to read, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a border around it. First of all, I'm going to put a dark, thick border around the whole thing. And then I'm actually going to put a border within. So inside you can see here all borders, but it's not bold. If I do that, it's going to present it like that. Alrighty, so pretty tricky. Put some different colors in here. Make one, and I want to make that centered. Okay, so we've looked at cells, we've looked at columns, we've looked at rows. We know how to delete data. So again, just type something in there. To delete, we just literally go into the cell and click on the delete button. And as you can see, it's retained this purple coding, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go up to here where the little paint can is, and I'm going to put here no fill, which will go back to having no filling of color. We've done copy and paste, so just one more time, select what you want to copy, right click copy, left, and go somewhere else where you want to copy to and paste, and there you have it. We know how to insert a row, so we just put our mouse where we want to insert, right click insert a row, because say for example I forgot that I didn't put in my coffee. So if I go in here and put coffee and then watch the total down the bottom. If I put $5 in there, you'll see that week 1 total will change to 255 because that is in the cell range. I inserted it into the range of data where I wanted a total. So you can see there that that will update my totals down the bottom. Okay, so we've done how to edit data. We know how the gridding works. Excuse me. We know how to auto sum. We know how to put a border around. Now, say for example, I want to show you, let's say we've got, how am I going to show this? Heaps and heaps and heaps of expenses. So I'm just going to put, stuff in here. So I'm just going to copy and paste all that down. Now let's just say we're down to here and it's just say that says pet food, right? And I want to put in week 3 that there was $30 spent on pet food. But I can't remember which one week 3 is. So the 2 options I have is to scroll up and go, week 3. Or if I'm down here and I want to hide all this data so that I can make it easier to read, I can actually hide some rows. So let's just have a look. If I put my mouse on row 4, drag it down to row 20, unclick, and then right click and hide, you'll see there that all those rows from 3 to 21 have been hidden. So then I can just start inputting some data. Oh, I wanted week 3, didn't I? So I can just click my undo button. So I've got rid of that. And then I wanted to put $30 in week 3. So now that I've finished that, I want to unhide my data again. So I put my mouse in 3, hold it down, hold the click down to where I want to unhide it. So those 2 are selected and the hiddens are in between. I'm going to right click and I'm going to unhide. So you can see there my $30 is down here. And now I want my totals to be below the $30. So let's delete. If we want to delete multiple things, we can highlight all the cells that we want to delete. Click on delete. And now I want to auto sum this whole range until it's under or after this pet food. So I'm selecting that range. I'm going to auto sum. And actually I will show you, rather than auto sum every column, what you can do, because that cell has a formula in it, and the reason you can tell is because whatever's in the cell, it shows up here in the formula bar. So what it's saying is this cell equals the sum of B column number 4. So it's highlighting the sum of B4 all the way through to B22. So anything in that column between that row range is the sum. So what I'm now going to do is put my mouse cursor in the corner of the total column and I'm going to drag it across. And what that does, it puts the formula, the same formula across multiple, whatever the range is across there. So you can now see that this one is the sum of column C, rows 4 to 22. And in this cell, it's the sum of column D and rows 4 to 22 as well. So that's a handy tip rather than going through and auto summing every column. All right, so we've done hide. Now undo. We've widened the column by doing that. We know how to delete a column by selecting it, right click, delete. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to get you starting to look at Excel and have a bit of a play around with it. And then Next time I do a video, I might make the lesson a little bit more advanced so that once you've got a handle on these tricks, you'll be ready for the next lot. All right, have a lovely evening. Well, it's evening here, 6:30, so I'm signing off for the day, and I'll post another video soon. Thanks.